Right, there we have it. Donncha, welcome along to another episode of the Offload podcast. Did you enjoy our chat with Ben Calveley, the Lions CEO, the other day?
Yes, it was good. Great to catch up with him. Geez, very insightful man, wasn't he?
Wasn't it? I just loved the whole talk of the logistics of
Yes.
having to have the gym, all the jerseys, all the equipment in one city. And then, of course, when the Lions get in there, the people who are organising that, they're on to the next. It's like Beyonce, you know, it's like the Taylor Swift. You know, she has two different stages that are constantly going ahead of it. So, no, really fascinating chat with him. But so, if anybody hasn't listened to it, it was our dressing room chat during the week with Ben
on Tuesday.
Calveley,
well worth to listen to. If you're trying to get up to fever pitch for the Lions, this will do it. Go back to listen to Ben in the dressing room last Tuesday. But yeah, you know what? It actually gave me a massive appreciation as well, that the amount that goes on around it that you don't know. Like, we know Ger Carmody and all the brilliant people that have worked around the Lions, that those kind of logistic moments. But just like your bag being on your bed, normally, give context, right? On normal tours, you might actually have lads in charge of luggage, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Or else...
Well, you were in charge of your own luggage.
You were in charge of your own luggage, or else if something went on a truck, you'd form a line, you know what I mean, into the hotel to get the team room up and going again. But it involved all shoulders to the wheel. That's not the case on Lions tours. It's the pinnacle, and they treat the players like that.
It's kind of like the footballers. They turn up with their wash bags, and the rest is so there. Good, like now, our boots aren't cleaned, and our boots aren't. But like, it just, it is. It's a step up from players from international level.
Yeah,
and that's what he said. We want to treat the players like this is special, and that's what the tour to the trip to Portugal was. That it was an opportunity to get away, to start the season afresh, and almost and. It really looked like it worked. They looked like they had a great time. So, yeah, really, I actually really found that fascinating story. And it was kind of mad for us not laughing all the time.
Yeah.
I thought we were quite good interviewers there.
Do you know what, though? One thing I'd say, Tommy, you bitch and whinge about stuff. So when you hear they're over in Portugal, you're there, why are they in Portugal? And then Ben tells you it's to sever the season. It's to make this. And then straight away you're there like, that makes complete sense. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And when you step away like something like that, means they can do all the training on the pitch, have the TV screens there so they can do all the video, and everything is on site right there, as opposed to doing it in the hotel, getting onto the bus, traveling back and forward. So interesting. Anyway, lots to discuss. Obviously the big game, Lions, kicks off tonight.
Cannot wait.
So excited for it. It's been a long time coming there. I want to quickly mention as well, we're going to go through some of our Lions moments before the tour kicks off, and some of our memories and how and why the Lions is so special. But I think we do need to start off with the two wins at the weekend, particularly for Leinster and, of course, Bath. But it's old news at this stage, but you've given the blue media their rinsing all season. They got the job done. They didn't quite nail the Bulls, but they pretty much as good as. They were bloody brilliant. Bulls didn't turn up.
It was a dominant performance, wasn't it, to be fair? And you were, like, everything with it, you were kind of thinking Gibson Park out, you know, the kind of Crow Park, I know it was 50,000. If that was in the Aviva, it was full, but, like, for Crow Park, that's half empty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it seemed like there was an atmosphere at it and stuff. But yeah, I'll be honest with you, for that group of players and for how important it is for Irish rugby, I was glad. I really was. Of course, you want the Irish teams constantly up there and competing. And that's certainly what Leinster did. It was like they bludgeoned their way to it, wasn't it? They, like, I must say, just what you thought was going to come in terms of the set-piece battle. Thomas Clarkson, I know everyone's raving about him, but he's so dominant, man. Really, really good. Just
and their defence, you know, when some of those big players from the Bulls came around the corner, particularly the end of the first half, you were thinking they're going to have to break here. Leinster's defence, they're going to give up that try, but they didn't. And credit to them, their defence has been exceptional pretty much all season. And I think going into this Lions tour, particularly with the amount of, there's 15 Irish players, and the majority of those are from Leinster, going into this Lions tour, it's going to be so, so important. So well done to them. Well done to Leo and
to be fair, can we be honest, it didn't feel like the Blues turned up though, didn't it?
No, they didn't. They did travel all the way up from Pretoria. I mean, it's a 6-day turnaround for them, whatever else.
Look, they're all there.
It's a tough ask.
I just find it a little bit, it's a bit like Harlequins that time. You know what I mean? Straight away, they kind of go on about the budget and different things, as opposed to kind of going, we underperformed there, and they certainly have regrets about that. But you know who I'm glad for? the blue media, you know what I mean? I'm glad for them. I'm genuinely glad for the Leinster players, and that, you know what I mean, that they pick up something, because it is tough and that's a horrible pressure. But the poor old blue media, like, they had to drop their pom-poms for a while, and now they can pick them up, and you hear them all over again now with, oh, Leinster use 58 players, and get under the hood. We see the only one to call him out has been Pat Spillane. You know what I mean? A footballer has to call him out, whereas all the Leinster lads the Leinster blue media are back on board and back.
Well, listen,
cheerleading
Leo
as
Cullen
usual.
doesn't agree with you, because he was saying bring it on, all that negativity. So he felt it. The players felt it. Joe McCarthy said the week of the game, people love to hate us. So they obviously thought that the media, they certainly thought that you were on their back. So listen, there was a lot of pressure on them. So good on them. Right.
Good on them.
Bath winning as well, beat Leicester Tigers. That was a much tighter game. I love that. Finn Russell getting the intercept. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Got the intercept 5 meters out from the line, just lobbed this big pass over to the winger on the inside. No need at all, but this just shows the player that is going there.
Because he was interviewed after the match, and he said it because who finished is a Bath boy. And he said in that moment he saw him and he wanted him to finish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because he's a local lad.
Exactly. Come through Bath, knows it. Family's been there. Just quite incredible out of him. And I just think, do you know what it actually got me thinking? Like, how brilliant he's been for Bath. I wonder, do Scottish supporters get frustrated that Gregor Townsend hasn't got the best out of Finn Russell? If you look at it, kind of, coaches should enhance you and get you to play better. But maybe it's the structure that's been put around Finn Russell that I don't know, could we say that we've seen those types of performance in a Scottish shirt? I know we've seen the intercepts and the moments of brilliance, but I don't feel he's been liberated like he has been in that.
He doesn't have the pack, Donncha. He doesn't, like Scotland, unfortunately, don't have the pack to deliver him the sort of ball that he would have had. He has had this season with Bath.
Yeah.
He had with Racing, and he had probably with Glasgow to be able to give him that ball. He's trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat a lot of the time. But I do listen. I'd be frustrated. Like, I was always frustrated with Finn Russell watching him, and that was more so as a Scottish player. But actually, the more I've kind of seen bits and pieces with Bath this season, and when you hear stuff like that, him giving that ball inside when he totally didn't need to, to a homegrown lad, makes you think, you know what, maybe I've got it wrong with this guy.
Yeah,
and I hope the Lions tour goes really well for him, because he has the opportunity to really rip it up and do some things that, will be unbelievable on the Lions tours and YouTube and everything else. But actually, behind the scenes, I think he's probably a good lad as well. So, anyway, right.
Before we wrap the two finals, there's a few things I just want to address. Did you see the Dan Cole's
Didn't see it, actually. Sorry. I heard it was very harsh on his last ever game.
Last ever game, but does sentiment come into something? You know what I mean?
What happened?
Basically, Finn Russell makes a kick. As he goes, like, Dan Coles has just come on, so he's full of running, to be fair to him, which you normally wouldn't be at that kind of position.
For a tight head prop, Dan Coles as well.
Oh, yeah, but
never running that fella. Sorry.
You don't want him running,
he's one guy.
He's
one guy to sit. I used to sit beside him on the team bus with the Lions all the time. I used to get on great with him.
Yeah.
Coley's a miserable bastard, but he's funny.
Brilliant. When you can scrummage as well as him, you don't need to run. But anyway, he went to block this kick. Basically, he got airborne, to be fair to him. And you can see in the air, the ball's gone, and then he's no way out. You know that kind of moment. He does, to be fair, tuck his shoulder for the contact, but like, it's basic physics. He basically bowls Russell over. I thought it was a penalty, maybe not a yellow card, but then it was kind of interesting as well. Do you put some sort of sentiment into it that that's going to be a grave of the game's final moment?
Yeah. That's sad, isn't it?
It is sad. It's up there. You know what was sad as well, though? I wish you'd seen this game, man. Ben Youngs kicked away the ball on the last play. If you know what I mean. 79 minutes on the clock. They do need to probably go 8 meters. But you know what was really annoying about it, man? They didn't have like a contest ready to kind of win it, if you know what I mean.
No, so you just kicked it straight down their throats.
Winger in the ruck, stuff like that. You're not ready to go. Just take one more phase. I know it's final. If you're going to kick it, though, you've got to kick it in your terms, don't you? You can't put it up there and hit no hope.
This is what I want to get into with the Lions, right? Because it is such an amazing experience, such an amazing opportunity for these players. But what happens on these test matches? You don't realize at the time the pressure that's on this. But I think back to some of my memories of that, and I'm watching some YouTube clips and kind of tackles that I maybe could have gone harder at, or chases that I probably could have gone after a little more.
Is that an admission? That's where I was going with this box kick. Probably someone had chased it.
Well, yeah. Do you know what? And I have my excuses for that, and I probably feel justified in my head at the time that was an excuse. But at the same time, it was when we lost to the All Blacks in 2013, and Joe Schmidt. We had never beaten the All Blacks, and there were, I think, we missed a kick. They had a 22 dropout. There was 3.5 minutes, I think it was, between that kickoff and them going pretty much the full length of the pitch and scoring a try. And Joe Schmidt made us watch that over and over again, going, you have 3.5 minutes to create history. 3.5 minutes. What could you have done? As tired as you felt, could you have done any more? Could you have worked that bit harder, made that tackle a bit better? And you don't realize that maybe when you're in it. And it's looking back on it now, sometimes the likes of Ben Youngs, that's his last ever game. And that's the regret on his mind.
Yep.
He has been, I think he's most capped England player of all time. But you end up leaving the game with wonderful memories of great times and great wins. But actually, I feel sometimes it's the regrets that live with you a lot longer.
I agree, man. The scars are way bigger than the moments of joy. And that's why you look at, Alfie Barbary celebrating the way he is, the Leinster lads enjoying themselves. Enjoy every minute of it, because they're so fleeting, aren't they? They're so rare, really, those beautiful moments, because all the rest is the imperfections, the moments that you always think back at. You think Lions, I straight away think, I was lucky enough to get called in for the second test against New Zealand in 2005, but I hadn't trained with that squad. And I remember it was my first time playing and being around Will Greenwood. And anyone that plays the game knows that normally forwards, especially front five forwards, you need someone connecting you. A back
kind of a latch on your shoulder, or on your arse to push you through.
No, a back out the back of me to basically connect. I remember at this attack phase, if I had to make the pass, it's probably, honestly, I'm not just saying, 14, 15 meters off my left. You know what I mean? That could be a Hail Mary, to be fair. You know what I mean? So normally you have a back out the back just chatting to you, hit me out here and I'll move.
So you can pull it out the back to them, that you see these sort of triangle plays that people have an awful lot. Yeah.
Exactly. So my first instinct always is to carry or else tip it on, but then the back would connect me to either give it and play it. But I remember I carried. Tana Umanga gets sin-binned in it, but there was a play on to score there. And I remember the moment, because I'd never heard his voice on the pitch, man. I couldn't recognise that he, you know what I mean?
So he's out the back screaming for it, and you didn't give it, you carried.
Exactly. I didn't even know his language. You know what I mean? In Ireland, we would have called that boxed. You know what I mean? To put it out the back or carry. And he's shouting something. I hear loads of white noise, but I don't hear the command. Probably because we weren't around each other enough. But it is a regret. There's a moment to, you know what I mean, push ahead in a big test match. And
same. It's the amazing memories. Lifting, we won the trophy 2013 in the third test. Unbelievable. I was regretting that. I think it was when Johnny scored. I was there on Halfpenny's shoulder, thinking, I'm going to get this ball. I'm going to go over the line. The ball went to Johnny. I was like, feck you, Sexton. But then you have amazing memories, but actually it's those little bits of another missed tackle that you didn't jam it. But it's all such a blur. It happens so fast. This is international top level rugby that you don't get to think about at the time of the consequences of this. And even that Leinster Northampton game, we gave them a hard time maybe because they didn't turn up that day. But there are going to be moments in that game where those players are going to be remembering for the rest of their days, about a missed tackle or a missed ruck or a knock on. And going into this Lions tour, the amazing opportunity these players have, but the pressure when it comes to the test matches, when you get that jersey, that red jersey for a test match, you're not just carrying the pressure of yourself and your squad with you. You are carrying the pressure of YouTube clips, of fans for the next 16, 20, 30 years reminiscing about, he should have done this.
Yeah,
So,
so
I
true.
mean, it's an amazing opportunity, but geez, it's funny actually just, and the build up to it now, I'm looking back at old clips and thinking, my God, what an
It
amazing opportunity it was. But I don't think I was aware of the pressure and the consequences.
agreed, and it tests the metal, doesn't it? It tests
Mm,
you as a person. That like that Lions jersey is either a cape or the greatest wet duffel coat you'll ever play with. It's amazing, isn't it? Some
yeah.
people grow in it, and other people's shrink.
Like,
And
remember, wasn't it Vickery in that '09 first
oh jeez,
test?
yes,
Had absolute hammering in the scrum. And,
yeah.
he probably didn't recover from that for a while. Like, just the abuse and the difficult time for a guy who is the top of the game, World Cup winner, to, maybe have just somebody else got the better of him in one
Yeah.
game. I think it was Ugo dropped the ball. And you have the Rog and whatever thing, second test. These are big, big moments
Yeah.
that just last
But
forever. It's just.
you're right. There is no hiding place in those moments. I remember after that first test, like Vickery, one of the greatest guys you'd be around, but you want to say something to comfort him. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there's nothing really that can be
What do
said
you
without
say?
you seeming like a sarcastic fucker either. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
want to kind of, and that's sometimes all you need to do, man. Because we all go there, don't they?
We've all been there.
We've all had the scars, like
Yeah, we have. And
just
some have had them at those top games, some haven't, and
yeah,
it's it,
yeah.
it- it's it's amazing. And that's what's on the line here, because these guys going on this tour have this amazing privilege to wear the red jersey, but the pressure, the legacy that goes beyond it. I actually was looking for something. Do you remember? So I dug this
Oh
out.
my
It's my old
goodness,
Lions
yes.
placard that was on the change room. It has my name and my number on it. But do you remember underneath this? And
Yeah,
I can't find it anywhere.
it
It had the test Lions from the previous
it,
tours.
it
And you
was
had like Ian Evans there. You had David James or Shane Williams. You had Jason Robinson, I think,
yeah,
was on mine. And like,
yeah,
you go in to where your jersey is and you see your number and you see the names that have gone before you in
yeah,
previous tours, and you're like, oh my God, that is history right there. And
100%
like,
it. Because
um,
the two parts of it are beautiful. You're glad of that bit where you're there, like, yay, Tommy. But you're right, straight away. Then you see the sense of history, and it's daunting, isn't it? Knowing that you're representing that. Like you always say in any team you're involved in, leave something in the jersey for the next person. But then
yeah,
there's the pressure to take it on. And you're right. When you see some of those names, the Martin Johnsons, all those,
it
you're
was
like,
it was the names of the previous winning players.
is that
So
what it was?
2013, but then before that was 97. Before
Wow.
that, what was it? Early 90s or even 80s. Do you know what I mean? So you're going back to like the real legends of the game, back to the 74 Invincibles, So anyway, these are the kind of historical moments that really make it so important as well.
I know we're chatting about the historical moments, but can I have it just a selfish bitch to myself, right? So I subbed in that first test in 2009. Where was that? Where did we play?
Sharks, it was down Durban.
No, was it? Was it?
Yeah, because Durban, then Pretoria, then Cape Town, was it
Was it?
not?
Is that how it went? I thought it was that massive stadium in Bloemfontein.
Um,
Maybe I'm wrong. We look.
Hold on. I actually think I
So,
have it here.
someone's there. We need a fact checker
Geez.
on this.
Schedule, right. The Royal 15 was the first game played in that one. Then
To
first test, yeah, Kings Park Stadium, Durban. Then
Durban.
Loftus, Pretoria. Then Ellis Park, Johannesburg.
Yeah. Well, it was amazing for me. I subbed that first test, but I remember when we went out to stand in for the anthems with South African anthem, the ref gave out to Paulie over his lifting ledges.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted him to change him. So Paulie's trying to get ready for the match. I was there. I got it, man. I'll make you up some. So I go off to make him up, and I'm missing for that photo. That unbelievable photo of us all tugged out.
Lined up for the anthem, and you're
Lined
not
up for the
there.
anthem. It was really kind of like cool moment that's a photo you would have up in your house. You know what I mean? The two teams tugged out ready to go, man. And here I am cutting ledges for Paulie. For fuck's sake, like,
Like,
what
I mean, there
moment
was
is
a
this?
there was a 40-man squad. Like, was there not fellas who weren't playing? Could have done that for you.
No, I could have said something, right? And maybe it was a thing of trust that he knew I would actually make them spot on for him, and I'd like to think I absolutely did. But like,
So what are these like? So these are just bits of foam that you put on the straps on the legs.
exactly, it's like a felt, right? But then, to be fair to the physios, saw how much felt they were going through, so they got these kind of things made up that you could just keep them and wrap them,
Okay.
and then they would be better to use. But the ref didn't like the size of these ones
Because
thought
there were like two
too big.
bricks sticking out from his legs. It was,
There were
like,
two briquettes.
it was a balcony.
Probably looked bigger than O'Connell's legs anyway. But yeah, that was my moment. I was there, and I felt like giving out to him afterwards. He was our cheers to that kid. I was like, "Go fuck yourself, you rat." You owe me for that, Paulie.
I actually think I have that picture on my wall somewhere.
I
We'll see
knew
if
you would.
you're not there.
Everyone has it, man. Everyone has it. That's the photo you want. Iconic moment in Where's Dunners. Down around the back.
I didn't realise we were down a player on that.
There you
I think
go.
maybe
Makes a
one of the other
difference.
second rows stood in just to get the photo taken.
Brilliant. Oh, I carried O'Connell for 20 seconds. He did the whole 20 years, so it's fair enough.
In terms of leadership then, like Paulie and stuff, like how important is it on Atoja going into this tour?
Yeah.
Like for Paulie, for instance, in 09, or was it Johnson in 05? Who was the captain in 05?
Draco, man. But
Oh,
before he
Draco,
got
of course,
speared,
yes, he
Harper.
got speared, that's right.
Yes.
Um,
First test taken out in 2 minutes, man. It's wild, isn't it?
It is wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like even you think of like the second test against South Africa, that one. Remember, Luke Fitzgerald gets eye gouged. You know,
Yeah.
though, like the ferociousness of these test matches.
Can you,
Don't mess about.
I think that if you look back at that tour in 09 though, I think physicality in rugby was at an all-time high at that moment. I'd say if you watch that back, no, there's so many red and yellow cards. And like you even knew on the pitch, man, it was ferocious. Remember?
Of the kickoff, Habana near took my head off. I swear, the kickoff, he literally came right through, leathered me, man. He
We've all
literally
been
took
there.
my head
We've all
off.
been there when you're meant to be escorting, but you know it's Tommy that's receiving, so you're there. Do you know what? Leave him taking all done.
You know who your teammates are. Like, any chance of blocking the fastest player on the pitch, lads? Any chance? He
Showing him away
absolutely
into you.
destroyed me. It was like he had the white flags out, like waving him through. But
Yeah.
like, remember Danny Rousseau and Drico? Like, I wonder almost that was one of the most ferocious
collision
matches.
is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like honestly, you know what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think that happens anymore, thankfully.
No. It. I think that was the end of it.
Yeah,
I think that was.
Are we kind of trapping ourselves up to look hard? You know what I mean? Oh, in our
Well, I
day.
wasn't, because I wasn't hard that day. I need to be harder, I think. Again, well, what a test match! Like what a test match! Like that goes. Honestly, I think that tour brought the Lions back round again
Agreed,
as well.
yeah.
Obviously, after the disappointment of 05 with that New Zealand one, because you had that split. Like
Yeah.
in terms of even for Drico in that time. Like you were part of the team that was doing a lot of the traveling during the week, weren't you? And
Let's
Drico
get
as a
this-
captain to try. Was it difficult for him to pull that group together? Because it was pretty much two separate teams.
Yeah, it pretty much was. Everyone chats an awful lot about Clive Woodward on that 2005 tour. I actually think he was ahead of the game. I think he was, you know what I mean, forward thinking. So what New Zealand probably wanted was us to go up and down from North Island to South Island. Whereas he said, no, we're not going to get caught by that. We're going to base one team and get them ready for the test. We're going to keep them in Auckland and we're going to send a bit of driftwood down to the South Island. So we were a part of what was called the Midweek Massive. With a handshake and everything on it. Midweek.
Donncha's doing an MWM here with his fingers. If you're not watching, right?
Yeah. But that was us, the Midweek Massive, and we would like tour around playing on those Tuesdays games. And you know the way the Lions is brilliant. You do all these open sessions. You really get embedded into the community. So we were trying our best down in the places like Invercargill and all these places, and they were like,
Did you have to go there?
yes, and they were like,
Dunedin, Invercargill. Like,
but they were there like
send the midweek Weak Massive down
You're
there.
brutal at it. You can tell you're one of Gatlin's favourites. You couldn't do it. But basically, they were like, where's Johnny Wilkinson? Where's Brian O'Driscoll? And we were like, we haven't seen those lads in about 3 weeks, for like, you know what I mean? But we'd sing stuff like, I think it was a legacy from a Lions tour before. I remember Hendo going on it. We'd be like, we're Driftwood touring with the Lions. Only play on Tuesdays. Or you'd have to get these little hopper planes. And as we were on these hopper planes, as they would take off, all you'd hear is, if we crash, would anyone care? Does Clive know we're even here? But I must say, Tommy, I'm taking the piss a little bit. We had a ball, man. We'd Ian McGeek, and every training session started with a game of soccer for a warm-up. After every match, there was beers in the dressing room. It was just brilliant fun. We genuinely had a great time. Like that Midweek Massive group are actually tight because
you weren't having to play against Dan Carter.
That's true too. It is been very.
I'd say the rest of the team go, feckin' Midweek Massive. Like, have you seen your man? He's a ball in a string.
That's actually so true. That's so true. But yeah, your point is galvanising the group. And you asked about Drico in the leadership of that one. It's very difficult to do. What I actually think you need is buy-in from the other leaders, the other national leaders, and also the other kind of alpha males in the room. If they buy in and shoulder a bit of the load, it makes everything easier for your talented player. But you've had it. What do you have?
So I'm guessing the leaders on the Midweek Massive weren't given those with the songs that you were singing.
No.
There wasn't much. I mean, when Drico got speared, were you all we were going, gee, are we down in Invercargill? Were you even there able to watch? Did they even have coverage?
Probably did.
Satellite down there. Jeez, that's not on. Did you hear that? We've just got a fax through to say Drico's out.
It was quicker to get someone over from London than the boat up from us. But it's mad. But you've seen that, Tommy, though. Like that tour in 13, wasn't there? Sam was leader, wasn't he?
Sam Warburton was captain. Yeah, obviously Paulie was on that tour. Drico was on that tour. Like, how intimidating for Sam Warburton. First time Lions tourist to have two former captains. As there with you. Alan Wynne Jones, who at that stage was probably in his fucking fourth tour as well.
I mean, just to make it worse, they should have got like Willie John McBride to carry the bags. Just to really put the pressure on him.
I think Willie John McBride did come to give a speech and he didn't know who the captain was. He was he shook all the other.
When you look around that room, you could have given it to any of them.
Apart from me.
Yeah, true. Apart from you.
But remember, like, Alan Wynne talking about how he got captaincy because Sam got injured in the second test. So Alan Wynne was captain for the third test. But he said, like, Paulie was injured, Sam was injured, Drico was dropped, so I was the only one left. So I got to captain the Lions, and he said, like, he found out that, it wasn't this big kind of, people always think, to be called the Lions captain. He said the team was obviously picked very, late at night and early in the morning, and Gatlin just came up to him, tapped him on the shoulder, and said, "Listen, would you be able to captain?" He said, "Yeah, I'll do that. No worry." While eating his cornflakes, do you know what I mean? So
but
amazing how these things happen. But that's the thing, is that Itoje, I don't know, does he have the leaders within this squad that you would have thought that they would have had in previous seasons?
Ooh, interesting point. Yes, but maybe we don't see him as the leaders. Like, Doris is a bit of a loss if you kind of go through, saying there is enough.
Furlong's been there a lot of tours. Elliot Daly's done a lot of tours. You've Bundy Aki is a real big presence within the Irish setup. Gary Ringrose as well. I just wonder, whenever there was all the talk about the Lions captain, it was only two, Doris or Itoje.
Yeah, that's true.
And in years gone by, you've always thought there's 3-4 captains. Jack Morgan, I suppose, who's the Welsh captain, who's going to be playing this weekend or tonight as well. He, but first time tourist as well. So
you know what,
it
though,
could be difficult if there's a split in the camp, Donncha. When you go down a tour like this.
No, I don't think that will happen. But Tommy, you're right. Maybe there isn't that. leadership as we see them, captains, but you know it. What you need is the alpha males. You need the kind of Ellis Genges, those kind of guys. Even the Jack Conan, you know what I mean? There probably is, like Marrow is probably the rightful leader, but you need the guys that drive standards, that push training, that also pull guys up on things not being good enough. You know what I mean? If that's coming from coaches, you're in trouble. Whereas if it's a self-policing environment, and I actually think there's an awful lot of them that are kind of that within their clubs, whether you can step up in that environment, but then I think that's the ability of good leaders. You know what I mean? Marrow, to kind of help them find their voice, to kind of empower them to start speaking up a little bit more. And if anything we've seen on that, you know, the way the Lions are doing this little YouTube clip.
Yeah.
I found that fascinating that Andy Farrell was leaving them find their voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell me what
I love that.
It was incredible to watch. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's up on YouTube. Definitely worth to watch. It gives real insight into Farrell and his leadership style. But I think that's what you will see. You'll see an evolving of some of those players. Like we said again, though, Tommy, some will sink, some will swim, you know?
I think, wasn't he was kind of asking players who, you know, Donncha, who in the opening couple of days, who's really stood out for you? What are you making of it? And you're like sitting there going, Jesus, who do I want to say here? And then they kind of say, Mac Hansen's been unbelievable. And it's like, Mac, right, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
So it brings in this whole vulnerability and being yourself and opening up to the group, which we wouldn't have seen in our day, which is really, really interesting.
Actually, we always thought showing vulnerability was a weakness, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where now they talk about vulnerability as such a strength. In terms, we got it all wrong.
Doesn't it? Doesn't some things annoy you? I bet you in time they'll be saying the best thing you can have after a match, right, is a few pints, a pizza, and a nice warm bath.
I always knew it.
Instead of, drink the protein shake, get into the freezing cryotherapy, and no jump on a bike.
Well, this is it. Like those ice baths, we used to be out training in the piss and rain and snow and horrible shite. And then you get told, right, you need to go and jump into an ice bath for 5 minutes.
Well, you were as lean as lettuce, so the ice bath didn't suit you. Yeah.
And now all the talk is saunas. Sauna this, sauna that. I'm like, what I wouldn't have done for a sauna back in those days.
It'll go full circle.
Jeez. Right, in terms of selection, right, obviously the team is selected for the match tonight.
Great
then, of course,
team.
you're going over, starting in Perth. When did you, say in 05, first tour, was there a moment that you felt this is my opportunity to show my... Was there a chance where you thought you put your hand up to be selected? Because you're part of the squad, you're being mixed and matched with different teams and players, whatever else. But there was always a moment, particularly for the players who end up going and playing in the test matches, that they show themselves to be capable of being picked.
Yeah, you're right. There is a moment that your performance, or even just the way things align, maybe someone the week before doesn't play as well in that position, and you just nail a few fundamentals. For me, that was that kind of... We played against Manawatui before the second test. Go on, what are you laughing
There was
at?
no way anyone was watching that. Manawatu. Manaw who? We had a great game against Manawatu.
Well, I did go all right. I didn't go as well as Shawsey. But do you know what? You know as well at those moments, even with a substitution, I was kind of taken off kind of maybe 5 minutes after half time. And that can lead to kind of those moments where, it's kind of like, keep him a little bit fresh. We might, we could do with him.
Or you kind of think that's like on a Tuesday or Wednesday match, and you think, right, they're taking me off at half time. There's a chance I could be playing at the weekend here. And the weekend matches are the ones you want to be involved in.
100%.
Play
weekends.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it happened to me as well in 2009. We were playing in Cape Town, and just after half time, I won't forget it because it was Alan Roland was reffing the match, and he was there, substitution number 4, and I was there like, thank you, gentlemen. It's been great knowing ye losers in the midweek matches. I'm about to step up. So I remember going off really smug. John Hayes was playing as well. I was like, smell ya, see you around. And as I started running towards the touchline, all the Lions management staff were doing this. They were like, no, not you. They were like, Nathan Hines. Nathan. We want Nathan Hines. So I had to run back on and go, Hinesy, that's they're actually looking for you, not me. And Alan Roland spotted it, and he was like, I'm really sorry about that. And John Hayes was just pissing himself laughing. He was there. You thought you were in for Saturday, you muppet. The cruelty of it. Yeah.
You had the wedges off and everything. Jeez, I have to get these made again.
It's hard to beat though, isn't it? But like there are moments, I know that sounds nuts, but you go on about the vulnerability, but like straight away, like the lads are slagging me after the match, and I'm even owning up, you know what I mean? I'm there like, lads, I thought I was in, and they were like, he thought he was in.
I know, it's so good.
You share it, don't you, that vulnerability?
Well, we're all thinking the same. Heinze obviously was watching you going off. Fuck it, he's gone off. That means he's in. And then we're all thinking the same. We are all thinking the same. I remember in 2009, the first match I got to play in was that Royal 15 up in Rustenburg or something.
Yes.
So amazing opportunity to get to wear the Lions jersey. It's like, I've done it. I've worn it. I'm so happy. The Royal 15 with, they nearly beat us.
I watched
first
that match.
Game on tour.
I watched that match, and this is the terrible thing about tour. You don't want them to beat them, but that was a great result for us. You all look brutal.
We looked shite. I mean, I was lucky. I scored a try, which I was delighted about. But
you were always safe. Gatlin's little pet.
No one is safe on that.
No one is safe. No one's safe.
And to be fair, you don't get many opportunities.
No, you don't.
And I think in the first two games are the ones where you gotta stand out. You gotta show that you're up to pace on it.
Yeah.
And in that first game, we were off the pace against a Royal 15, a team put together. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is not good. Where the following time I played, then I think we played the Lions actually, and we hammered them, which was a big comeback on that. But I actually think my big one was Western Force. We played against them in Cape Town. And just, sometimes things just click for you. They just go well. You get loads of ball. You get onto... And you come off the pitch going, wow, right, I'm in with a shout here. And it's funny where the earlier games, I kind of was still a bit 50-50 whether, other players were playing better than me.
No, but you also get this kind of respect of the squad as well, don't you? Like the squad know who really should go out. Maybe there's a few places that are tough calls, but when you put in a performance, I remember that, like you do, everyone kind of going, yeah, Tommy's in. And then you kind of nearly work back to... You know who's thereabouts, because I always found that, Tommy, I got frustrated with selection, but deep down it's always fair, isn't it? Bar Drico that time, it's always fair.
Well, then the Drico one, it was totally not fair. But sometimes I think what Gatlin doing and dropping Drico for that game, for Jamie Roberts bringing him in, it actually took all the pressure off the team. All the noise was on Gatland and dropping Drico, and he was able to just pull us into a room and say, this is on you guys to go and do what you want. Forget about the outside noise. I'll cop that. Wow. This is for you guys. So actually, it took all the pressure off the team. It was amazing. And we only had like a week and a half to train, or a day and a half to train that week. And I do think actually that was a bit of a masterstroke. A little bit like what Kidney did back in 2009, making those changes, and everybody's going, what is he doing towards the end of the Six Nations and that too. So sometimes
you're right.
Something
he
completely against the grain, it works.
He left out Strings and Jamie, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I think Darce as well, Paddy Wallace or whatever else as well. So,
but the funny thing is, right, you, as a player, they're at the standard, and that's a tough call, but you're just glad it's not you. So it gets a reaction. You're there like, I know this is really tough on Strings and all those lads, but you know what I mean? I got to do me here now and make sure that I'm not, you know what I mean, like the lads next time round. Like
and that's what Gat said. He said, you're in. It doesn't matter what the call is. This is my decision. This is our decision. We are all in this together. It just, I think it was a harsh call, but I mean, geez, it worked to end up winning that third test.
Do you know what?
As well. Do you have a memory though that you made it? Do you have a memory of you having
you shat on it, man, against Manawatui? I told you.
What about 2009 then?
What about 2009? With the Western Force, I can't do any more than to play the teams that I was allowed to play against.
What about '09? You must have one
Oh
in South
nine,
Africa.
oh nine. I think that obviously that first test was probably maybe a little bit of combinations, but we certainly got the physical battle, and then Shawsey came in for test two. And if you're into rugby and you're into tight five forward work and you want to see perfection from a tight headlock, watch Simon's Shaw's performance in the second test. It is amazing. It's amazing.
He was phenomenal, and the experience was incredible. What a test match!
No, he was probably drinking for the whole week before it.
Well, how did you feel to get, because you were on you were involved in that first test?
Look at you. What are you looking for? Tears here?
No,
or
no,
something?
but
When did you turn
listen,
into
we're talking good memories and
Yeah.
bad. You know, when that team was had you been given a heads up or anything?
I hadn't been given a heads up, and I was cross over it. I'll never forget it, because what we're probably used to, and what I didn't know is, well, I thought I knew. I thought there was always a tip off. If the team says the same, you hear nothing. If the squad says the same, but if you're left out, you normally get, and it doesn't have to be in a whole lot of detail. It's just so that when they're calling out the team, you don't get a kick in the balls in front of everyone else. And that's what happened to me that time. I remember they called out the team and they went number 4, Simon Shaw. And in my head I was there, good on Shawsey, straight into the team. And then in my head I was there, that's very harsh on poor old Alan Jones. You know what I mean? Like, straight out of the squad. And then they were like, jersey 18, Alan Jones. I was there like this, oh, fuck it. And I won't forget it, because Brian Drico was sitting beside me, and he kind of gave me a tap, hard look, as you always do to people that are out of the squad. And he saw my face. He was there, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Stop it, Tommy." He was there, "Are you all right?" I was there, Drico, I didn't get tipped off, man. And he was there, "Oh, yeah." And so I remember what we used to do in '09. We'd go out for dinner afterwards. But I was kind of, I felt a little bit embarrassed. You know, that kind of way. You're like, people are kind of coming over and saying hard luck, but you didn't have the time to take it in. So you're still very raw. And I remember I was sitting down, we were having dinner, and whoever was sitting beside me moved to go to the toilet or something, and Graham Rowntree jumped into that seat. And I remember he just grabbed me and was there, "Listen, I've heard what's happened, that you didn't get tipped off." And he went to kind of explain something, and I remember I was still so raw, man. I told him, jog on, like, I was there, wait, don't want to hear it, man. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, and I was embarrassed over it. I remember actually David Wallace was to the other side of me, and he was there, "That's offside, man." You know what I mean? He was really annoyed with me for doing that. The next day I went to tidy it up with Wig. You know what I mean? I was there, listen, he saw me walking towards him in the corridor. I was like, "Graham, can I have 2 minutes?" And then I went to explain this, the beauty of this fella. He just hugged me, man. I was trying to make an explanation, and he just grabbed me and he was there, "You're all right." You know what I mean? He was there, "Of course you're hurting." And I was there like, yeah, he just got it. You know what I mean? But I think that's the value in having, one, a fucking brilliant person around you, but two, having someone that's been there before and actually knows how raw that is, and how embarrassed is the wrong word to use, but kind of like how exposed you feel a little bit, that you're kind of out of the group, because it's ruthless, isn't it, Tommy? It all drives on. I was unbelievably grateful to him to be that sound, to just kind of, you know what I mean? Because you know the crack. Like, I did tell him go fuck himself. You know what I mean? Beating him before, he could have easily been like, "I'm your coach. Who are you chatting to?"
But we all get it, Donncha. He knew.
Yeah, he knew.
He's been in that environment. He's been a player. He knows how much it means, and that showed how much it meant to you. And like, to be dropped, or not even to be dropped, just not to make those test teams, is because that's what we all want. We all believe we're good enough to be there. And yourself, Shawsey, Alan Wynne, Paulie, do you know what I mean? Like, fighting it out for those places. But no one wants to be the one left out.
No, of course. But you're dealing with like the ultimate egos. So everyone going on this tour has always been picked. You know what I mean? They never lead. You know what I mean? They're not the ones that get dropped when national teams don't go well. They always play for their clubs. And then when they get bumpy calls, like, it's amazing. Like, Drico's most exposing moment is on a Lions tour in that fashion, isn't it?
It was the first time he'd ever been dropped. Ever. Isn't that insane? On Lions tour, the third test, 1-1 in the series, and it's the first time he ever got dropped. And Jamie Roberts came in, Jonathan Fox went to second centre. And then, of course, everybody thought, well, obviously Draco would be on the bench, but then they put Tuilagi on the bench.
Yeah.
And as you say, feeling exposed. I would imagine he must have felt like that, because he is this player who has been lauded his whole career, and then to miss out on a test match, as you say, embarrassed. Like no way you should feel embarrassed.
No,
but this is
you
what,
don't. Yeah.
This is what this tour is that we all want and expect to be there, and there are going to be and Andy Farrell's well able to make these tough calls, but this is going to happen in this tour, and there's so many things about that the players can look forward to, but there's actually behind the scenes, it's all a mind game, the whole lot of it.
It is all poker, isn't it? He should take a leaf out of Sir Clive Woodward's book, and when it comes to actually naming the test team, send the rest off to Queenstown on the lash. It wasn't a bad idea. How do I stop everyone being negative and sapping the energy? Send them on the piss in Queenstown.
Okay, well, listen, for the players, right? Matches tonight, and that's when it really starts off. Have you any advice for players?
I know I'm the wrong person to ask for advice, genuinely, but I do think this group, because I got to play in this match in 2005, I loved being up and running. I loved that my tour had started. And you can actually speak about the moment, you know what I mean, where you had to wait. I think the lads that tug out tonight, of course there's going to be mistakes and there's going to be imperfection, but you're up and running. You're a line, you know what I mean, in 2025. So I actually think they gain a bit of momentum as well. And you know what I mean? If you can, I love it though. I look at the team tonight and there's loads of combinations, isn't there? There's loads of, you look at the centres, that's a combination you'd love to see work, isn't it?
Oh my God, Tuipulotu and Aki in the centre, that's it. And even like the front row bench coming off, like Kelleher, Schumann and Furlong, like what a front row placement to come on too.
But even the smarts to know that, okay, Mitchell and Smith, you need to get the rhythm of each other. Do you know what? Let's not. They're on it, the two of them together. And I like the back row as well, man. The back row is full of dog, isn't it? And of course, like, I'm delighted for Jack Morgan. I know everyone's going on it, but we've toured, Tommy, that you need your teammates, your friends. You know what I mean? Like, there's two of them.
He was Superman for Wales this year.
Yeah.
Almost carrying that Welsh team. So what an opportunity for them to get off to a good start. Tadhg Beirne as well. Great to see him beside Itoje. I mean, that's because Tadhg Beirne, I would have always thought would be a great six, but I gather Farrell isn't really looking at him as a six anymore. It's second row. Yeah. So what an opportunity now for the two of them, because Itoje is the one person really, and I think Sheehan probably at hooker.
I agree.
Who are guaranteed a first test starting place.
Yeah.
Bar the two of them, it's hard to really nail down anyone else in particular. So as you say, getting picked for that first game, you're out of the blocks. You're up and going.
You're up and running. But then it's the banana skin, isn't it?
Yeah, well, of course. And that's going to be bloody tough.
Oh my God. Argentina are going to bring it, aren't they? Like it's... Yeah. So, and of course, everyone else on tour wants it to go well, a bit like Ian, they're your first one out. You want them to win. You want the guy in your position to have a bit of a nightmare.
Totally. Win, but you make sure you have a shocker. That's exactly it. Exactly it. Oh, it's going to be a cracker. I'm so excited. We've been talking about this for so long. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Really well.
Do you know one piece of advice I would have for them is that it happens so fast and so much goes on in a day-to-day basis. You see them walking around with their notepads all the time and they're writing down plays and writing down all that sort of stuff. Write down the crack, write down the memories, write down your roommates, write down all that, because you forget. And it's a shame to forget some of the really brilliant memories that from those tours that, unfortunately with this head are long gone.
Do you know what? It was a bit of advice. On that tour in 2005, I remember once I passed a coffee shop and Alistair Campbell was in there on his own. And I swung in. I was there, "You all right? What are you doing?" And he was there, "I'm filling out my diary." And I remember being like, "Hey, how you getting on, Bridget Jones?" You know what I mean? All the usual, "Oh, my diary." Exactly what you're saying. "Oh, Alistair, go off and write your diary." And he was there. What we're doing, Donncha, is really interested and people in time will love to hear about this. And I was there, Alistair, we're in the arsehole of nowhere. Like, we're getting the shit kicked out of us week in, week out. No one's going to want to hear about this. And then he sent me, I think my line was, yeah, no one's going to want to hear about this, I said to him. And he sent me a volume of his diaries, including that Lions tour. And on the front of his, Dunners, enjoy the book. No one's going to want to hear about this. Alistair Campbell. And brilliant. You know what I mean? His diary of that time.
Well
and you're
done.
right, his memory of it. Because what ends up happening is, because there's so many little stories, they all intertwine into one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're probably a million miles off it. I think that's solid advice. Do keep a diary of it. I wish I'd listened to Campbell. Who would have known bringing such a smart man on tour would have helped?
Still not listening to him, even though he came on the podcast to talk to us that time and tried to have the bagpipes going and we couldn't hear it. He done plugged in.
That's right. Another one of them.
Listen, it's the start of the Lions. We're so excited to get it up and going. Looking forward to this. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Offload. Again, check out the changing room with Ben Calveley earlier on. Dressing room, sorry. On Tuesday's podcast. Really interesting read.
It's great.
And just to hear the logistics of how it all works. And we love you to subscribe, tell your mates to listen in, and all the very best. Go Lions.
Let's go Lions. Come on.